High Street Youth, how we feeling? Guys, I'm so glad to be with y'all tonight. Guys, if you don't know me, my name's Nick, and I'm so glad that I have the privilege of being with y'all tonight as we finish up our series on fear. The world says a lot of things we should be afraid of. We've talked about a lot over these last 8 weeks, but now tonight, we're talking about one final thing, and it's something I believe every single person in this room deals with. Something that every single person struggles with that you've felt at least once or twice in your life, and that is anxiousness. Whether it's something as simple as being homeschooled like me and Gideon apparently, and like you go up to talk to someone random, it's just a homeschool thing. No matter who you are, if you go up to talk to someone, you're gonna feel a little anxious. Or maybe something as like harsh or strong as maybe you're anxious right now because you know a family member's sick and you're worried about them. We all experience different levels of anxiousness. Well, tonight, we're gonna be talking about it, and I wanna real quick tell you about a personal story of me feeling a little anxious. Your boy, just a little fun fact, he ain't the best swimmer in the world. So when I was a kid, I always when you're a kid, did your dad ever be in the pool with you and say, okay, son, jump to me? Raise the hands real quick. Did your dad ever do that? Okay, I see 1 or 2 or 3, okay? So my dad would do that all the time, but my dad, he's a little scattered-brained. So I'd be like, all right, finally built up the courage to do it, and then all of a sudden, he'd turn away. And your boy would be, next thing you know, looking underwater at him trying to figure out, okay, where'd Nick go? He was just here, and then look down and go, oh, right, and pull me up. Another time, though, the biggest point in my life where all my anxiousness from swimming comes from was I was at a church event. So we were at a swimming pool. I don't remember whose swimming pool. It was this kid who was in the same grade as me. And I was like, all right, it's going to be fun. I'm going to just chill in the shallow end. It'll be great. Well, for some reason, I don't remember why. I got out and decided to walk around the swimming pool to go get something, I don't know, a bag of chips. And this kid decided, I know what would be really funny right now. And I get to right about the deep end, and he just goes, boom. Next thing I know, I'm underwater looking around like, well, I guess this is it. Because nobody else had noticed I'd fallen in the pool, and your boy sunk like a rock. He was just like, well, I don't know what to do here. And after a few minutes, or I say minutes, it's probably seconds, I don't remember. I just remember the kids looking down at me and laughing until finally this girl who's in the same grade as us goes, oh my gosh, Nick can't swim, and jumped in after me and got me out. So I had to deal with not only almost drowning, but also being rescued by a girl. So it's not a fun story. There's nothing wrong with being rescued by a girl. I just want to state that. My pride was just a little hurt in the moment. But anyways, tonight we're gonna be talking about anxiousness. And there's all different levels of anxiousness. Whether it's something severe or something small, we all struggle with it. But tonight, I wanna talk about what the Bible says about it and how it can help us through it. So, real quick, I wanna tell you before we get started that anxiousness is not a sin. Being worried about something, being stressed, that does not make it a sin. Living in that fear, staying with that anxiousness, making it your life, that's when it becomes a sin. You see, everybody gets anxious, which is my first point tonight, that everybody feels anxious. So, even if you've accepted Jesus into your life, you still struggle with it. I do, Isaac does, YPT does, Miles does, everybody does. Even people in the Bible got anxious. The Apostle Peter, Jonah, even Jesus Christ himself got anxious. And one person who I want to read real quick, who wrote down when he was feeling anxious, is King David. You see, he wrote a book of the Bible we title, or at least part of it, called Psalms. And that's where he wrote down all his thoughts and feelings, whether he is feeling happy, sad, guilty, whatever. Well, in Psalm 55, he's feeling anxious. He felt alone. Starting in verse 1 of Psalm 55, listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my cry for help. Please listen and answer me. For I am overwhelmed by troubles. My enemies shout at me, making loud and wicked threats. They bring trouble on me, angrily hunting me down. My heart pounds in my chest. The terror of death assaults me. Fear and trembling overwhelm me, and I can't stop shaking. Oh, that I had wings like a dove. Then I would fly away and rest. I would fly far away to the quiet of the wilderness. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt like, oh man, I wish I could just escape right now? That I could just fly away from all the problems I'm feeling, all the pain, all my worry, all my shame. If I could just leave right now, man, what I would give to do that. Maybe you're in this room and you're thinking about stuff right now that you're struggling with. You're thinking through all the what ifs. What if my girlfriend doesn't love me? What if they don't really like me? What if my friends don't really like me? What if I don't have any friends? What if I fail that test and I get held back? What if I don't graduate and go to college? What if I don't figure out what to do with my life? What if my mom really doesn't love me? What if the people in my life don't really care about me? We all have these what ifs in our head, and everybody's looks different, but everybody has one of what you're worried about. Mine, what I'd like to do when I was your age, I would always think of stuff like, okay, whenever I got anxious, I'd like, all right, I got a plan. I'm just gonna run away. You know, as a kid, whenever you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out the door and just run away. Yeah, my plan was I'm gonna get to the beach somehow. I know, fear of swimming, it doesn't really make sense. I still like the beach, but hey. So in my head, I was like, okay, somehow I'm gonna get to the beach, and I'm just gonna become a beach bum. That's basically just a homeless dude on the beach. That was my goal. I don't know why. I was just like, sounds fun. I'll be on the beach. And eventually I learned a song on the guitar, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'll walk down the beach playing that one song. I'm sure someone will throw $5 at me. It'll be fine. And the amount of times I thought through that was crazy, but each time I was like, yeah, but I really like my bed. I'd really miss my dog. So probably not the best idea. But I always just thought about stuff thinking about, okay, I just want to escape. I just want to get out of here. I just don't want to feel this pain right now. I don't want to feel this anxiousness. And I got to ask you, how do you handle anxiousness? Which is the second thing I want you to write down. What do you do when you feel anxious? Do you respond in a negative way or a positive way? Because one of the negative way of responding to anxiousness is that you just try and numb yourself. You're feeling anxious and you're like, okay, I have all these worries. I have everything in my mind. I don't know what to do right now. So I'm just gonna get on my phone and scroll. I've seen some of y'all's screen time. I'm just saying. Y'all just like to scroll on Instagram, TikTok, I don't know, Snapchat. Laps is a thing right now too. It kind of replaced BeReal, but anyways, you just like to scroll and scroll. And what? Just to numb the pain so you don't have to be alone with your thoughts. Or maybe Netflix is your drug. I love Netflix. We could go there and just turn on, I guess they got rid of The Office, but Friends, that's something I watch on Netflix or used to. And I would just turn on an episode and be like, all right, I'm gonna watch all the way from season 1 to season 10 and I don't have to think about anything. Or maybe how you numb yourself is a little bit more severe. Maybe you use alcohol to numb the pain. Maybe you use a boyfriend or girlfriend to make you feel good so you don't have to think about what's actually going on in your life. For me, when I was your age, it was pornography. I used porn to numb myself to so many different things so I didn't have to think about it. I was like, okay, I might feel good for a little while so I don't have to think about what's going on right now. I don't have to think about my pain. I don't have to think about all this stuff. Even if it's just for a few minutes, I don't have to think about it. And then usually afterwards, I'd feel even worse and just move on. But how do you respond? Maybe as well, you like to just bury it. You have your whatever you're worrying about, and you're like, I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just gonna push it down deep inside. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna bury it. And you see, the thing about that, though, is if I just bury this, if I say, okay, here's my worry, I'm just gonna bury it, just gonna push it down, not gonna think about it. Where is it? It's still right there. My worry hasn't moved at all. My pain, my fear, it's still right here with me, just buried down. And can I tell you something? You, sitting there in that pew, you are not designed to hold on to your worry and fear, to your anxiousness. If you try and bottle that up, you're not gonna make it. It's not gonna be good if you just keep pushing down on it and saying, okay, I'm gonna just, if I don't think about it, it'll be fine. If I just do these things to numb myself, I'll be fine. I'm gonna tell you something, I've done it. I've been where you're at. High school is rough. Middle school is rough too. Even being homeschooled, it was rough. Trust me, folks. But listen, I'm telling you here tonight, if you try and just numb yourself, if you try to just bury it, it's not going to work out. You're not going to fix what your problems. You're not going to fix your anxiousness. And that's a negative way of responding to it. Let me tell you what a positive way or the right way to respond to anxiousness is. First, the first thing we need to do if you want to deal with your anxiousness is you need to take it to the person who cares. You need to take to the only person designed to handle worry and all the things you're feeling, and that's God. So my first thing, if you're taking notes tonight, I want you to write down is this. You have to give it to God. 1 Peter 5:7 says this, give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. Yes, you tonight. God cares about you. Whoever you are in this room, God sees you and he cares about you. You might feel like, no, nobody does. Nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody knows how I'm actually feeling. No, God sees you and he cares about you. And he wants you to bring your anxiousness, all your worries, all your fears to him tonight. He's saying, hey, you're not designed to hold on to that. You're not designed to hold on to your what if. You are meant to bring it to God and give it to him. God literally says, okay, bring me your worries. Peter's saying we have to take them to God. And why though? Why would we do that? Why would we bring them to God? Why? Because of that second part of that verse. God cares about you. He cares about you. Yes, you sitting there in that pew. Tonight on a Wednesday night when you could have been anywhere else, God cares about you. And because he cares about you, he's saying, give me whatever you're dealing with. Whatever you're worried about, give it to me. The second thing we have to do is pray about it. We have to actually pray and talk to God about what we're dealing with, what we're struggling with. Because if someone's to know what's bothering you, you actually have to know them. If I just go up to, let's do Jaden. If I don't know Jaden at all and I go up to him and say, hey, Jaden, I'm struggling with lust really bad right now, and I just met him on the street. How's that going to go? He's going to go, cool, man. See ya. Right? Yeah. Well, you actually have to know God. You actually have to be in a relationship with him to be able to cast your anxiety on him, your anxiousness on him. That's why Paul writes in Philippians 4:6, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for what he has already done. Paul is literally saying in these verses, hey, don't worry about anything. Instead, tell God about what you need. Tell God what's bothering you. That's the first step. To be able to cast your anxieties on God, to give him what you're worrying about, you actually have to talk to him. And that's all prayer is. It's not these fancy, you got to say words like thou, you got to quote a million Bible verses. No. It's a conversation between you and the God who loves you, saying, hey, come to me. Tell me what you're worrying about. Tell me what's going wrong. Paul is saying in these verses that we have to bring it to him. But what I love about that verse is that last part. Thank him for all he has done. Thank God for all he has done for you. Which is what my third and final thing is. I want us to think about the good. Think about what God is doing. Paul said after this verse in Philippians, in verse 8, he says this, and now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is pure, true, honorable, and right, and pure, and lovely, and admirable. Think about things that are lovely and excellent and worthy of praise. Fix your thoughts on what is true. Whenever you got stuff going on, whenever bad things are happening, the best thing you can do if you have a relationship with Jesus is think about, okay, what has God brought me through in the past? Okay, I might be struggling with this problem right now. I might be feeling this way, but I serve a God that's good. I thank God for what he's done. I think about all the stuff that he has done for me in the past. When I was your age, I struggled with so much. I had so much anxiety and worry about different things. I was that anxious kid that everybody's like, all right, cool, Nick, but I had so much stuff. But the best thing I could do at times is think about, okay, God, how have I seen you move in the past? How have you helped me with things that I've prayed about? What are some answered prayers? And that's what God is saying through these verses that Paul has wrote. He's saying, go to God and thank him for what he's done and focus on what is good, what is true, what is honorable, what is right, what is pure, what is lovely. He's saying that's what we do. So that's how we fight anxiety, is that you think through these things. You think about, okay, we cast our cares to God because he cares for us. We give him our worries. And we do that by praying to him, by actually talking to God. We tell him, this is what's bothering me. God, I give this to you. And then we thank him. We think about, okay, God, you've helped me through this, so why wouldn't you help me through this now? You helped me through this problem, so God, I'm trusting you now to help me through this. But the thing is, I can't pray right now and say, okay, God, help me for the next 20 years. All right, bye. No. It's a daily dependence on God. It's a daily relationship. I don't know what you're going through today, but I can tell you this, that God wants to help you through whatever you might be going through. Whether it's something small or something big, God wants to help you. Why? Because he knows what it feels like to be anxious. You see, Jesus Christ came to this earth over 2,000 years ago, and he was 100% God and 100% man. And like I said, he felt every emotion we feel. And because of that, he felt anxious. Like I said before, Jesus felt anxious, which is crazy for me to think about. But Jesus, it says in the Gospels, when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane and he's praying to God, he knows the cross is before him. It's the night of his betrayal, and he's praying to God saying, God, please take this cup away from me. And Jesus is praying and praying. Jesus is literally asking God, I know we made this plan before the beginning of creation, but God, can we change it? Can we please not do this? I'm scared. He's saying, he's feeling anxious. Because the thing is, in those verses, it makes clear that Jesus is sweating blood. And I don't know about you, but if I'm sweating blood, I'm probably a little anxious. So in those verses, Jesus is praying to God, crying out to him in that garden. But what I love is what he says, not my will, but yours be done. God, not my will, but yours be done. Jesus is fully surrendered in that moment, saying, God, he knows what's about to happen. He knows he's about to endure the cross. He's about to die for our sins. But Jesus says, I'm going to do it, God. If it's your will, if there's no other way, I'm going to do it. Why? Why would Jesus do that? Because he saw you. Go back to 1 Peter. He said, cast your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Yes, you tonight. Jesus cares about you. Wherever you're at, whether you're far from him or you've been walking with him for as long as you've been alive, Jesus cares about you. And that's why my third and final thing I want us to take away tonight is Jesus is our only hope. If you hear nothing else tonight, know this. Jesus is the only hope for you in this world. Jesus endured the cross because he knew all the fear, all the pain, all the anxiety. The answer to that was hope. Hope that this world, that this pain we might feel, whatever you're going through, that there is hope. You might not feel known in this room, but Jesus came so that you can know the God who knows you fully, who knows every single hair on your head. Jesus came to this world because he wanted you to know that there is someone that loves you. You might be in here tonight and you're like, nobody loves me. Nobody knows me. Nobody can love me because I've done this. Nobody loves me because I've done this thing. I've been this. I do this. No. Jesus came because he said there's a God that loves you and he wants to know you. And so as we end tonight, I want to ask you once more, are you anxious? Are you struggling with something tonight? Maybe tonight as I was speaking, you have that what if thing in your mind. It might not be something crazy, but it's there. And you know it. And you can't shake it. And everything you do, everything you've tried to do to numb it or try and bury it, it's not gone away. And you're like, okay, Nick, I'm gonna leave here and it's gonna be the same. I'm gonna go back and I'm still gonna feel like my mom doesn't love me. I'm gonna go home and I still won't know what to do with my life. I'm gonna go home and I still might struggle with X, Y, and Z. I don't know your struggle. But I do know a God who's big enough to handle it. I do know a God that loves you and wants to help you. You see, Jesus also said in the Gospels this, in Matthew 11, verse 28, then Jesus said to me, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. I will give you rest. Come to me and not, oh, if you've cleaned up your life. Come to me if your problem is only this small. Come to me. He's saying, no, come to me with your heavy burdens. Come to me and I will give you rest. That's what Jesus said. There's no requirements, nothing. He's just saying, come to me because I care about you. Come to me and cast your anxieties on me because I care about you. And I'm the only thing. Jesus is the only thing that will give you rest. So tonight, as we end, I want to talk to two different people in here. There's the people in this room that would say, I don't know Jesus, if I'm being real. If I'm being honest tonight, I've never made that decision to follow Christ. I don't know any of this. This church thing seems weird. I don't even know if the Bible's true. But I know one thing, I am anxious. I do have worry. I do have pain. And can I tell you something, what my old youth pastor told me once? When I went to him one time and I said, his name was Justin, how do I know the Bible's real? Life is hard. Worry, I have all this worry. How do I know God can handle it? And he said, what if he can? And I want to ask you that question tonight. You might be asking yourself, and you might have asked yourself multiple times, what if God's not real? What if he is? What if there is a God out there that actually loves you and actually cares about you? So that's my challenge to you tonight. If you don't know Jesus, don't wait another second. Don't spend another second in your anxiousness, in your worry, in your fear. Come to the God who cares for you. Cast it all upon him. Talk to him about it, and then thank him. And then I want to talk to the second group in here, those of you who do know Jesus. And I want to ask you something. Are you tired? Have you been holding on to stuff that you know is not yours to hold on to? Because I know I have. These last few months of my life have been hectic, to say the least. And I've had a lot of fear, and I've had a lot of worry. And I've had a lot of doubt. As I was preparing this message, I was like, all right, God, what do you want me to say? And I've just been praying through it. And I've just thought about all the times I've felt anxious these last few months. All the fear I've had. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of you in this room that say, I've had a lot of worry recently. Whether you graduated and you don't know what to do next, whether you are wondering about whatever it is. I listed a lot of things tonight, and you know what you're dealing with. Tonight, we have some cards on the altar, and I encourage you, do what 1 Peter said. Cast your anxiety on God. Give it to him. It says, these cards say, I'm giving God blank. Mine says, I'm giving God failure. Because that's what I've been worried about. That's what I've been struggling with, that no matter what goes on in my life, I'm worried that I'm going to fail. That I'm going to fail my wife. That I'm going to fail my God. I'm going to fail my friends, whoever. That's what I've been struggling with. What have you been? So I just want you to ask that question tonight. And so as we bow our heads and close our eyes, I just want to ask yourself, where are you tonight? Which camp are you? Do you know God? This God of peace who promises to help you, who promises to be with you and help you through whatever you might be going through? or do you not? Because tonight's the night. Don't wait another second, because God loves you and he cares for you. No matter where you've been, no matter what you've done. The Bible makes clear that whoever calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And that can be you tonight. If that's something you'd like to do, I'd encourage you to pray with me as I pray this prayer. Dear Jesus, I thank you for what you've done for me. I thank you for dying on the cross for my sins. I pray right now, Lord, that you would forgive me of all the sin I've done in my life, and that you would come to me and just be the Lord of my life. And if that's you, I'd encourage you right now, in a moment of boldness, lift up your hand just so I can pray for you. Thank you. Now, if that was you, or if you didn't want to lift up your hand, we're going to have leaders down here at the front. And I'd encourage you, come talk to them. Come pray with them, because they care about you too. And they want you to know about the God who loves you and cares for you. Now to my second group. I'm about to pray. And then after that, I encourage you to move. Whatever you're dealing with, come grab one of these cards and write it down. Say, God, I'm not going to leave tonight without giving this to you. God, whatever is going in, I'm not going to walk out those doors. Because let me tell you something. Yes, that worry might not leave immediately. That anxiousness you're not feeling, it might not be gone after tonight. But can I tell you something? When you surrender to God, he promises to never leave you. God can handle whatever you're feeling, whatever you're anxious about.